She knew that by the world's standards, she would be unqualified for this role. And yet, at the same time, this heavenly being was standing right in front of her, telling her the exact opposite. So what are you disqualifying yourself from today? What do you hear God asking of you that you're just too afraid to answer? Number 2, Mary knew she was favored and she was qualified by God. Stephen Furtick also says, humility is stepping into your destiny based not on who you are or what you can do, but who God is and what he can do through you. And John Acuff says, where the world sees failure, God sees future. Next time you feel unqualified to be used by God, remember this: he tends to recruit from the pit and not the pedestal. Mary didn't rely on the approval of the world around her. If she did, she would have been immediately disqualified or unqualified. So instead, she saw only the approval of her heavenly Father, and she knew he was the one that would ultimately qualify her. And connecting this point to number 1, Mary knowing her place in the world, we find the angel's reassurance of Mary being favored by God is so much more potent because she already knew who she was. She already knew her place in the world. Caroline Lewis says it like this: it is no small thing to be regarded, to be favored, especially when you are exceedingly aware that you shouldn't be. Mary was very aware that she should not be favored, but she decided to trust what God had to say about her anyway. Carol McLeod, an author of a devotional series, says it like this: Christmas for Mary was the challenge of understanding what the favor of God is truly about. Mary was about to learn that being highly favored by God does not mean a life of unbroken happiness, or does it promise that all of your dreams will come true. There is a tremendous price to be paid by those who are highly favored by God. Favor means simply that God is willing to use you. God is willing to use the young, the uneducated, the inexperienced in his grand plan for humanity. Just as the favor of God targeted the womb of Mary, the favor of God is targeting everyone and anyone who is willing to be part of God's strategy at this historical juncture. Christmas for Mary was about discovering the intimacy of the Lord's presence as never before. No longer was God a mere concept of a divine being who never engaged himself in the affairs of everyday life. Because of Gabriel's message, the presence of God himself had invaded the life of this young girl. Do you truly believe you are favored? Do you believe that you are pre-qualified by God, that he is willing to use you, that he wants to use you?